eat and to talk and to fellowship one with another. It's good to see those who have stayed with us, and we, as Brother Patrick said, as we continue in our worship to God this afternoon, we want to continue our study of redeeming the time, Ephesians chapter 5. As we began our lesson and we looked at a couple of things from even the world's poets, time is running out. Last week and the week before that, we talked about and looked at some songs, both secular songs as well as spiritual songs. The songwriters have captured this theme in a number of ways, and I think if you would just even yourself listen to or think about the modern songs that you know, and I would say songs that are within the last 100 years. You don't have to go back that far, really. Even some of our modern songs have captured properly the fact that time is a serious matter. And so, because I understand that the mind can only absorb what the seat can endure, and if we sit too long, your minds are going to... I don't have any power to raise you up when you fall out your chair. When I was, to just tell you a funny story, this happened. I was at the lectureship in Sumter, South Carolina, the Central Carolina School of Preaching lectureship. And after one of the meals, and I forgot what day it was, the young man who was supposed to be leading the song, he was sitting on the front row. And before I think because they called on me right away. I was just sitting there, somebody else was getting ready to preach, and he was sitting there, and Brother Marcus had introduced the subjects for the afternoon, and he had this young man scheduled to lead the singing, and he called his name. He didn't move. He called his name again, didn't move, and he said, Brother Melson, can you lead us song? I mean, he was stone asleep. It's a good thing he didn't fall out that pew. Yeah, I mean, he was gone. He was, and unlike some of us, he wasn't sawing any logs, but he was gone. He was out. Now, some people have a hard time sleeping in pews, others don't. So I said I was going to give you some practical applications, and these are not original with me. So these applications came from another preacher who I'm pretty sure got them from somebody else, because I've read some of these some places as well. So the first thing that I would, as we talked about, we ended up this morning looking at Ephesians 5, 16 and 17, and we said time offers the opportunity to love and serve others. Galatians chapter 5, verse 13. So let's look at then two possible practical things that will help us with redeeming the time. Number one, give 10% of your time to the Lord. Give 10% of your time to the Lord. Now let's do a little math and see what we mean by that. Well, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, that's 168 hours in a week, right? Those of you who can do mental math, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, do your mental math, should be 168 hours in a week, all right? If I'm wrong, somebody raise their hand. Both of y'all, come on. Who raised their hand back there? Tony, did you raise your hand? I saw a hand go up. You say they're not 168 hours in a week? Your hand went up. You say I'm wrong? $167. What kind of math? Get that phone out. I know you got your phone back there. Get your phone out. Go to calculator. Do you do the math? Because 7 times 4 is never going to come up with a 7. 7 times 4, you're never going to get 7. You're not going to get 27. You're going to get something else. So check me out. So while you checking on your phone, 168 hours in a week. Take 10% of that 168, that's roughly, this is an average, that's roughly 17 hours. Now you subtract from that 17, 4 hours of that time you spend in worship and in Bible class. So, you got Sunday morning, midweek. So we're going to average and say 4 hours. That leaves 14 hours, or an average of 2 hours per day, that you could spend in service to God in some other way. Now, you just get your little notepad out, do a little brainstorming on your own, and ask yourself, boy, if I have 2 hours per day that I can use for God, how can I use 2 hours per day productively for God? Well, we're reading the Bible through in a year. Well, maybe you can read your Bible. And think about this. You want to set aside a specific time to read your Bible daily. Same time, every day. If you do that, if you do it randomly, you're gonna get lost. But set the time aside. Maybe also include, I need to read a good religious book. I mean, there are many good books that can be recommended that you might want to read. A good religious book or we have a lot of religious material. Determine that I'm going to read the Christian Courier every week. I'm going to read the Christian Journal. I'm going to read a good tract every week, a different tract. Figure out some way to stretch your mind biblically. And one of the things, and I will say this to you, if you are older members, this is one of the points. If you keep doing that, you keep your brain going, your brain active. Don't fall into the trap of what the world, I'm old and I just can't do anymore. Who says? Who told you that? Now, when the body tells you that it can't, then you'll know it can't. But don't let some guy on TV tell you, well, you're 62 now, and once you get 62, you might as well call it quits. Our 93-year-old over here is laughing at me. She hasn't called it quits. Added to that, the 2 hours, focus on a Bible passage and study it. Sometimes, you hear the preacher, Bible class, there's something that gets you, studied it. I haven't preached on this, but I have been studying on the subject of joy. Because the Bible has a lot to say about joy. And joy is not what we think. Most people think of joy, that it's an emotion. Boy, we get all happy and all this other stuff. Well, That's part of it, but what drives us to that emotional state? And it's interesting when you study it, about, especially we look at the New Testament, you come away with an entirely different point of view. Think about this. You got these 2 hours every day. Write a brief note to someone. All of us know someone who is in the hospital. All of us know someone who's in a nursing home. How long does it take to take a pen? If you need a pen, there's some out there, they're free. Take them, give them away. I was eating one day, and I was signing my bill, and the person at the counter said, "Oh, that's a real nice pen." I said, "Here, it's yours." Now, of course, you know why. Because it says Needmore Road, Church of Christ, 2211 Needmore Road. I said, "Here, it's yours. Just read it when you use it." So that's why we got them out there for you. They're marketing. Take them. People ask you, "Well, where do you worship at?" Here you go. Here's where we worship at. You want to, and take notes. Bring it with you. Our phone number's on there. So if you didn't get one, take one. Now, look, we don't want you to just put them in your purses, though. Okay, don't be a hoarder. We want you to give them out. Some people, "Well, but that's my pen." No, it's the Lord's pen. Give it. Somebody asks you for it, here, take it. It's yours. Then come get another one. Next person, take it, give it out. So make a brief note to someone. Also, think about this. We all know someone in the congregation who's struggling spiritually. You know, when those days when we're having it rough, drop them a little note. Or you people who do the stuff digitally, send them a text. But send them a text to encourage them, to build them up so they can get through a rough day. Everybody's going to have a rough patch. I love getting notes from brethren that encourage me, that say, "I'm thinking about you, praying for you." Visit the hospital. Visit them. Take time to visit the nursing home. We announce people who are sick. We announce people who are going to be having procedures. Take time. That might bring a little sunshine to someone who is having some challenges. Hospitals can be, if you're retired, you heard somebody's going to be having surgery. Some people sitting there in a hospital room all by themselves. They would love to have a faithful member of the church that's going to sit there with them and, not be Medea. Now, if you don't know who that is, you're not missing on anything. But those of you who do, you know what I'm talking about. I do want y'all to raise your hand on this one. How many of y'all talk on your hands-free devices while you drive? Hands-free, yeah, because I didn't want to say talk on your cell phone while you drive, because if you do that while you don't have a hands-free, I'm a mandatory reporter, and I don't want to know that y'all doing that. I have to report y'all to the police. So while you driving, you got your hands-free device. Instead of calling just to talk about what time of day it is, use that opportunity to call and encourage someone, or just to call and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you, and I want you to know I love you." Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that. I've got the time. I got to drive anyway, so I might as well call and tell you I love you. I hope you have a good day. Oh, that was only 30 seconds. Maybe 40. Man, how many of those do you think you could do? Here's another one. Oh, I got 2 hours a day. Invite someone to the services. Pick out somebody in your neighborhood. Pick out somebody you know and who's not a member of the church. Invite them. Then you could do something else. Man, I got all this time. 2 hours a day. Work on preparing a lesson to teach in a Bible class. Just got through talking to a young man who prepared a lesson and gave a mini sermon. He was supposed to give a short sermon, but he ended up preaching. He's now ready. He said, I'm ready to go. So we're going to have to have him back, invite him back. Second thing, I said 2, so here's number 2. We're going to start at the top again. Take that same number, 10, so we know 168 hours in a week. Take 10% of that again, and you want to give 10% of your time to your family. Think about this. If you do that again, you'll have about 17 hours in a week to spend with your spouse, and if you have children, or your children. Now, wouldn't that be great? Now, I know there's going to be somebody who say, I don't want to spend that much time with my husband or my wife. Now, I would just say sad. If that's your disposition, then we need to get y'all in some marital classes or something. But again, let's go ahead and do the math again. Subtract the 4 hours you spend together in Bible class and worship. That leaves you about 14 hours. Reserve 7 hours of those for doing something on the weekend. The remaining 7 hours of average of 1 hour a day, including Saturday. And then you set aside for those you love the most. Parents with small children, set aside time to turn the TV off and read a Bible story to your small children. We have some great books that you can read to them. Read the great stories of the Bible, but read it to them. Let them see you read to them. At home, find your favorite spot there in the house and make that becomes your favorite Bible reading room. And you pull out that Bible story book, and maybe it's what y'all will do every Saturday, or do it every day a week rather. Don't let this one ever slip, parents. Pray with your children. Ere you left this room this morning, did you think to pray? Parents, have your children heard you praying for them and to them? And then listen to your children pray. After you taught them how to pray, listen to them pray. Bobo, you going to lead prayer today? Oh, yeah. So Bobo's going to lead prayer. Listen to Bobo lead prayer. And when you pray for them by name. Can't leave this out because this is important in time. Play with your children. Maybe it's before it gets dark and you put them to bed. Play catch with them. Play frisbee if you can. If you like to shoot hoops, shoot little hoops with them. If you like to swing the golf club, swing a little, whatever that is. Spend a little exercise with them. Bodily exercise does profit something. Spend a little time with them. And here's why. Remember what did we learn today? Time goes by. You won't get it back. Don't wait. Boy, I wish I had spent a little time. I told you last week, there's this song by Harry Chapin. I don't like a lot of things by Harry Chapin, except for this one song, Cats in the Cradle. When you look at the words of the song, it's a sad, sad song, but it's a true song. Because he wrote the song based upon what happened in his own life. His father ignored him while he was growing up. When he got older, he wanted to spend time. I don't have time. I'm busy. The kid, I got to do this, Dad. Dad, I'll be there later. Dad, I'll do this. And so do it while you can. Because when all of a sudden you want to spend time, I don't have any time to spend with you. I'm too busy. Yeah. So listen to Harry Chapin's Cats and or go online, just listen or just look at the lyrics. And when you read the lyrics of the song, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you're a father and you only have girls, guess what? They want to have a tea thing. Well, guess what? Be the guest at their tea table. So yeah, Daddy will sit down with you and have tea. I know how to hold the cup and keep my pinky out there. They'll love you for it. You'll remember those wonderful moments. And when they want to play dress up, let them dress up. Tell them, say, no, I can't put a tutu on, though. I've got a granddaughter that thinks that wants to do my nails. I'm like, no, that's all right. No. My daughters they tried that. I said, I've learned. I got suckered into that one. Husbands, hire a babysitter every once in a while and take your wife on a date night. Don't let the romance go out of the wedding, out of the marriage. I said wedding, I know what I meant. Attend sporting events with your family. Walter Tolley was a mighty Raider fan, but Walter would love to go to Wright State basketball games with his son-in-law. We'd go out to watch a basketball game at Wright. I should tell Walter, I don't know why we want to go watch the Raiders play. That was an inside joke. I'm sorry for those of you who graduated from Wright State. Patrick, no offense. I'm sorry, Crystal, and you Wright State graduates. He is looking at me with this stern face like, no, he did not throw Wright State out there like that. But it was a good time. It was good quality time to try to encourage his son-in-law. So you do those things. It might be going down to the UD Flyers. It could be, my wife loves to go to high school sporting events. I don't really enjoy them. But when my wife says she's going, guess what? I want to be with my wife. So what do? I go to where she is. She's at a high school sporting event, so what do? I tag along. I only have one wife. Nothing wrong with going to a high school sporting event. Encourage some kids, but also to be with the one you love. So you show your family that they are more important than anyone else. That's why you go. That's why you do some of that, because you have some time. All right, so we're about done. Remember what we said. We cannot add hours to the day or more days to the week. We only have 24 hours. We cannot, remember, you can create money, but you can't create time. The government can print more money. The government can't give you any more time. God has given us 24 hours. He's given us 7 days in a week. We aren't going to get an extra day. So, but we know how much time we have. We just need to make certain to make the most of the time that has been allotted to us. We don't know how long we're going to live, but we do know that if we are allowed to live a full day, we know how much time we're going to get. And then finally, while we schedule things, and it's good to schedule activities. While we schedule these things, let us never forget to keep God first. Matthew 6:33. The most important thing that we can do in our day-to-day scheduling, in our week-to-week scheduling, in our month-to-month scheduling is never to forget God. So daily, let's make sure we're remembering God every day, that we're praying to God daily. In Psalm 10 and verse number 4, I'm not going to give too much on this because I want you to, next week, I'll have to talk about this at PTP. And but I've been studying this for months, and it's interesting. Verse 4 says, "The wicked in his proud countenance does not seek God." And then the end of it says, "God is in none of his thoughts." The question we each need to ask ourselves is, where is God in our thoughts? We understand the wicked. The wicked has pushed God out of his daily routine. But where is God in my thoughts? Does God only pop up 5 minutes before Bible study? Does God only pop up right before worship? Does God only pop up, oh man, I've got to go to the doctor's office, I better pray? Do we treat God like he's Santa Claus? Well, I better give God my wish list. And so, as we're thinking about time, Isaiah, the prophet, says God should be stayed on our mind. There's a wonderful song that our young people sing. Woke up this morning with the Lord stayed on my mind. That song is based on Isaiah 26 verse 3, that their mind was stayed on the Lord. And as we think about our use of time, this observation, if your mind is stayed on the Lord, you don't have time to think evil about your neighbor if your mind is stayed on the Lord. If your mind is stayed on the Lord, you don't have time to, like the wicked. Now the wicked, on the other hand, because God is in none of his thoughts, does a whole lot of other stuff. So as we think about our time, we keep God first. Oh, yes. Thank you. Jerry and I were batting our heads before service, trying to figure out this song. And he didn't quit on me. I mentioned it this morning, and so I do want to thank you, Jerry. Song 150 in the song book, "Follow Me." That's the song Brother Keith Ball. I love that song, and it was his wife had it sung at his funeral because Keith died while on the mission field. Thank you, Jerry. And yeah, "Follow Me." I traveled down a lonely road and no one seemed to care. The burden on my weary back had bowed me to despair. I oft complained to Jesus how folks are treating me, and then I heard him say so tenderly, my feet were also weary upon the Calvary road. The cross became so heavy, I fell beneath the load. Be faithful, weary pilgrim, the morning I can see. Just lift your cross and follow close to me. What better way to use our time in life than to follow close to the Lord? If you're with us today, you need to obey the gospel and you've not used your time wisely. Those who been here, you've been using your time wisely today. We came, we followed, we did what God told us to do. We studied his word, we prayed together, we sang together, we gave, partook of the Lord's Supper. We fellowshiped together, encouraged each other, prayed for one another. What better way to use our time on the first day of the week, the Lord's Day? And as we get ready to depart, I hope that some of the things we've talked about that we can, God has blessed you. You can take advantage of the beauty of nature. You can take advantage of, if you're visiting Dayton, we have some wonderful things to see here. We're just glad that you're here. It's wonderful to see our visitors who are still with us today. It's a good example of a family. They know what the Lord's Day is. They just didn't pop in and say, "Oh, gotta go. We got things we got to do." But they spent time with the saints. As we look around, we've got young people, older people. That is just a blessing. And if God blesses us so that we can be where these 90-year-olds are, I hope that we can look back and say, we've used the time that God has given us wisely. We've been redeeming it. Brother Chris, you got a song? We're going to stand, but Chris is going to lead us in a song. If you need to respond to the invitation of the Lord,